Welcome to sunny Davis, California, where you are here to receive the most important information that we have to give about our beautiful campus here, UC Davis. I am Carlos Carter, and to my left we have.
My name is Alyssa Geyer. I'm a student here.
And to my right.
How are you doing today? My name is Jorge Garcia. I'm also a fourth-year student here at UC Davis.
Okay, and so we understand that we have a number of students out there who have inquiries for us, and we're ready to fill them. We'll move forward with a bit of information. First off, a general overview of what you'll be receiving today in terms of information. We're going to talk about this beautiful campus, as I mentioned. We're going to go over the admissions process, both for freshmen and transfer, what you should look for as you're inquiring about this campus and your selection process. The actual application process we'll review as well. Give you some important dates to calendar so that you can be on target with that, and then learn more on how to get started.
So just a few quick things about UC Davis. We are recognized worldwide for our education, particularly our research, our innovation, and also our public service. We have about 25,000 undergraduates here, another 1,878 faculty, so that gives us about a 15-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, which is a really, really great ratio. So we do have a lot of those faculty that are available for you to get one-on-one time with. We're ranked 9th among public universities in the U.S., and we're in the top 50 world research universities here at UC Davis. And we're also #1 in the world for forestry and agriculture services or sciences here.
Excellent.
One of the biggest concerns that students have, or potential students have, when coming to UC Davis is the location, right? Location's very, very important. A lot of people have the misconception that there's nothing around UC Davis. However, as you can see, we're located just a few minutes away from the Capitol. We're located very near Tahoe, San Francisco, and Napa Valley. All these locations are great locations for students to get internships in and also to visit.
Excellent. Excellent.
So we do, as far as our academic programs go, we are comprised of 4 undergraduate colleges. Those are our College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, our College of Biological Sciences, our College of Engineering, and our College of Letters and Sciences. Those 4 programs together do make up about 99 different majors and more than 100 minors, which means that no matter what you want to study, if you don't know what you want to study, this is a great place to be because we do offer so many different programs. We also offer 94 different graduate programs and 6 professional schools here at Davis. So we have a lot of opportunities for you no matter what you want to do.
And one of the best opportunities you can have here at UC Davis, and I'll say this personally, being a student here at UC Davis, is also the undergraduate research, the internships, studying abroad, and most importantly, the leadership opportunities that you have. Like I said, we're located right a few minutes away from the Capitol, so it's a great opportunity for anybody trying to get into government or government relations to get an internship at California's Capitol. There's also great opportunities for studying abroad from anywhere from Spain, Europe, South America. And what's most important that sets UC Davis apart in studying abroad is not just the experience, but UC Davis will actually give you credits towards your major if you study abroad. Some other universities will give you credits, but not towards your major and not towards your degree. But UC Davis incorporates that into the studying abroad experience.
So besides just our regular classes and like the regular things that we offer at UC Davis, we also have a number of different centers that you can get involved with, sort of back to that internship and jobs and research and things. You can see on the slides there's a whole bunch of different ones, but some of the main ones are our Genome Center, located on campus. Our Mondavi Center is not only, you can work there if you're interested in like theater or anything like that, but also we do have all sorts of people come to our campus. I saw Bobby McFerrin, I saw B.B. King there, so it's really, really cool, and the student prices are usually cheaper than the regular prices, so it's definitely something to get involved with. Our UC Davis Health System we also have on campus. We have research centers in Tahoe, in Napa Valley, and in Bodega Bay, so if you are interested in doing research somewhere other than directly on campus, you can get involved with that as well, which is a really cool opportunity. We also have our Wildlife Health Center as well as our Raptor Center, again, internships, volunteer positions, things like that, all things to get involved with here on campus.
And now that you know a little bit more about the campus and the programs that we offer, of course, the most important thing is how is this going to help you, right? How is this going to make you successful? Well, most freshmen graduate in 4 years and transfers in 2 years. UC Davis alum are hired among the top employers, and again, 25 among the top 25 universities based on alumni earnings potential, and they're active Aggie alumni network is over 200,000 strong. So that means that once you graduate from UC Davis, alumni don't only graduate and leave, but they stay and help you network, help you get those jobs, and help you enrich your opportunities here at UC Davis.
A lot of people think about Davis and they think about, oh, I've heard it's a cow town, whatever, but one of the main things that I personally love about our campus is the community that we have, not only on campus, but also in the city. We're a very small college town, which I absolutely love. We have over 500 clubs here on campus, which we also have the Greek system. We have things like outdoor adventures. I personally am in an a cappella group here on campus, so there's plenty of ways to get involved no matter what you're interested in. It's a great way to make friends. We're also an NCAA Division I athletic school, so if you're interested in athletics, that's definitely something to get involved with. We also offer intramural sports as well as club sports, so no matter what level of athlete you are, you can get involved with that. And if you want to get involved with just the school spirit and going to the games and stuff, we have the Aggie Pack. Aggie Pack is the largest student spirit organization in, I believe, in the country, but it's really, really fun to get involved with. Go to those games, show your spirit. They're just really high energy and really, really fun. We also have our Student Community Center here on campus. That includes things like our Women's Resource Center, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Center, all those sort of resources that you want to get on campus if you want to really get involved in a community, as well as our cultural programs and performing arts here on campus too.
And just to add to that, one of the most important things that I found really cool about UC Davis is that if one of those 500 clubs doesn't fit your needs, you can always create your own club. UC Davis is very open to any clubs that you want to create. Just get a couple friends together, and you're on your way to making a new club on campus.
Interesting.
So our student housing here at UC Davis, freshmen are guaranteed 2 years in student housing, transfers guaranteed housing for 1 year, and assistance finding housing off campus. Personally, my experience, housing is amazing. Most of it is located centrally to campus, so anywhere you go around UC Davis is about a 5-minute walk. It's very easy to go downtown, to go to class, to go anywhere around UC Davis. And the facilities that they offer, it's one of the top in the food. They have a very, very good DC, dining commons, as Alyssa can also let you know.
Yes.
So it's a very great opportunity for you not only to get involved with other students living on the dorms, but it's also a great opportunity to get to be involved more as part of campus.
Yeah, just to add to that, I lived in the dorms last year, and I made pretty much all of my friends through the dorms. It's just a really great way to get to know people. You walk down a hall, and anyone has their door open. You can just go in and talk to them. It's a really, really cool experience.
Great, great. And so you've gotten somewhat of the official particulars from the student perspective, and now we want to talk more specifically about the official particulars as it relates to your academic preparation for admission. And so first starters, we're going to go over freshman admission. And as you well know, we're talking about the Subject A requirements being a necessity here, being conscious of the fact that you need to speak more closely with your counselors at high school and talk about the A through G requirements, and being more diligent about making sure that you are meeting the requirements as opposed to relying on someone else to tell you that. And so we have very reliable sources of information that are available to you, not the least of which is this form. I want to make sure you see this here. You can download this online and get access to this. It's a plethora of information for freshman and transfer admission, and for the most part, that's what you're going to be looking at as a freshman admit. The A through G requirements as your subject requirements. You're also talking about your exam requirements, your subject A requirements, of course, in conjunction with the SAT and or ACT scores, are what's going to classify you for admittance. If you are a California high school student, you are very familiar with the statewide pathway process, and quite frankly, it speaks to the top 9% being the students that UC focuses on for admittance in those 11 subject requirement courses with a 3.0 GPA or higher, and also understanding the importance of being competitively eligible. We recognize that UC Davis is one of the nation's leaders and being the number 8 university in the country and on the rise in that regard. You want to excel past the minimum requirements, and so when we talk about this top 9%, we're talking about the academic elite of each environment, and so you want to aspire to be a part of that because that secures you a spot here. You also want to be considering the local pathway as an option, eligibility in the local context as it's traditionally known, and that also speaks to an academic output of 3.0 or higher. all of which can be assessed and basically arrived at with your communication with your high school counselor. So at this particular time, with the application period fastly approaching, you want to be very on task with disaggregating all of your information, looking at your transcripts and so on, and making sure that you can assess the same way that we would, making sure that those A through G subject requirements are met. Academically, what will we look for? We talked early on about this being some important information for you to note. As you see on the screen here, the GPA in that A through G section in your 10th through 11th grade year is crucial. Those of you who are taking more advanced courses understand the importance of that as well. The number of A through G courses, just as much as your examination scores, have a level of importance. We talk about the competitive nature and environment of UC Davis, and so taking those honors in AP or IB courses are just as important. They mark an improvement. You want to mark an improvement in your progression through the academic endeavors and making sure that you are always excelling past what you've done the last time in that marking period. So your academic prep programs are also extremely important. When we talk about those, we're mentioning things like EAOP or Upward Bound or AVID programs, which are pretty popular for high school students. Educational Talent Search is another, and so those programs are accessible via your counseling center, and so hopefully all of you who are freshman admins have already accessed and been a part of those programs. Non-academic factors, demonstrating leadership. Obviously we want the leaders in your respective majors that you're going to apply to, but we want to see that you have leadership qualities and capabilities in other areas, and so if in theory you have a leadership that you want to market, you should definitely try and find the creative way to articulate that in your application, whether it be on the athletic field or in another environment with respect to employment and things of that nature. Demonstrated special talents and skills. We know we probably have several artists and musicians out there who are just as academically inclined to apply to Davis, if not in other areas of their artistic fashion. And so we want to be able to express to you the importance of our desire to have you showcase those, if you will, on your application so that we can make a note of that. Perseverance and resiliency is extremely important. We recognize that there's no smooth path as a freshman admit to UC or any university for that matter, and so showing us that you have the ability to work hard through all of the challenges that you might face and encounter. That's where the perseverance comes into play, and being able to articulate that very clearly in your personal statement. Successful management of significant disability. Everybody's not facing the same challenges, and everybody's not facing the same path, so to speak. And so if in theory you have a challenge that you have overcome and made a strength rather than a weakness, we'd like to hear about it. Again, all of this can be clearly articulated in your personal statement on your application, but leave no stone unturned in terms of the things that you want us to know about you, because here's your chance to shine. Again, I mentioned exceeding the minimum eligibility for UC. We definitely don't want you to just simply jump over the bar. We'd like you to raise the bar, okay? And so that's essentially what we're referencing there in terms of exceeding the minimum eligibility. We recognize that although you have your Subject A requirements, oftentimes you may see one of the requirements that says recommended. Okay, when we talk about what's recommended, that's excelling past the minimum. That's exactly what we're referencing. Take the required test by December 1st, and so with the application period being in November, we understand that it's important for you to, in a more timely manner, engage in the respective tests, both SAT and or ACT, in a timely manner early, as often as possible, so that you can get familiarized with it and produce to the best of your ability in terms of your score in those respective exams. Complete activities and awards section. Again, we reference these things that are non-academic related, or they may be connected to academia, but ultimately we want to know all the endeavors and all of the things that you want to be a part of and all the things that you have been a part of that make you who you are when we read your application. And so being able to clearly articulate to us all of those out of the classroom activities that you're involved in, very, very important to us. We mentioned earlier about your leadership roles. We won't be redundant with that. We understand that it's important for you to express leadership, and so please tell us what those areas are. The academic preparation that you may have received in terms of outside the classroom, speaking with counselors, talking with siblings who might be current Aggies or current Aggies like these individuals here. Express to us in detailed form how you've prepared for this process and this experience. We want to know it in its entirety. Uh, because of the competitive nature of this whole process, we respectfully request that you have an alternate major. We know that oftentimes college students change their majors from time to time. Melissa, did you change your major?
I changed my major the first quarter. I came in undeclared and I changed to animal science the first quarter.
Wow, Jorge?
Yeah, same with me. I came in one major and I decided to take a class, just a random class, and I love that class. And I changed my major now to community regional development.
So it's important to list an alternate major, meaning don't put all your eggs in one basket. We know you probably heard that before, but we want to reiterate that because it's important. The competitive climate here is such that we may not be able to guarantee your admission into a particular major, or the more that you gain information and learn more about who you are in the landscape, you might decide to invest in something else. So be very thorough in examining all of the majors that we have available to you, which is also found here in that same document, listed right here on the side. Invest some time in going into the Davis website and digesting all that the major has to offer you in terms of information so that you can make a more sound decision. Your senior year, high school students, is very critical. It's not, for the most part, your time to take a break and take a siesta, if you will. It's time for you to finish through the tape, so to speak, in this race for admittance and go through the finish line as fast as you started. Make sure that you have all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted, and you understand that that's going to be the deciding factor in you moving forward. Your senior year is critical, not time to take off. Okay? Here's some statistics for you to digest as it relates to what you'll be engaging in terms of the competitive landscape. We have no way of gauging what the upcoming application pool is like, but if last year's stats here provide you with an understanding of it, which we hope it does, you understand how competitive it is when we say that, and you understand also that as a California resident, you represent here, folks. You have some pretty positive percentages of representation here. I want you to digest that in its entirety. All of this information, for the most part, by the way, can be found online at our UC Davis website, www.ucdavis.edu, and they have a number of brochures that you can print that has all of the official particulars in terms of this data here. But more than anything, 39%, a little over 39% of our freshmen are admitted in the application process, with last year's cycle producing well over 55,000. So that GPA range, remember, exceeding the requirements is what we would encourage you to do. As you can see there, it's a pretty competitive landscape for freshman admits. The transfer process differs slightly, only as it relates to the official particulars in terms of units and so on. It's still a very, very competitive climate. Although it says here a minimum of 2.4 GPA is required, we recognize that you're going to aspire to be higher than that to assure you a position in this campus. The competitive UC Davis student, as it's documented here, has a 2.8 again, but we tend to function from a motto of never going below a 3.0 to assure yourself a spot. Remember that. Let that be a stain on your brain. Never go below a 3.0. 60 semester or 90 quarter UC transferable units. It's important that you know that they are UC transferable and not just your run-of-the-mill community college classes. You want to be specific to course patterns that prepare you for your major. Okay, let me go back here. 7 course patterns. Important for you to note that you have to have this completed. Okay, these are, for the most part, securing you a closer admittance as a transfer student if you follow this particular process. And again, much like we were encouraging freshmen to have a regulated relationship or experience with their high school counselors, same holds true for community college students. Be very visible and present in your transfer centers, meeting with your counselors to assure that your transcripts reflect what's required here for admittance. 2 UC transferable English courses. In most cases, that's a critical thinking course that's included as the second English that's required. 1 UC transferable math course. Oftentimes students take statistics, which is a good course to take, and 4 courses that are at least 2 subjects. Excuse me. All of this can, of course, be addressed when your sessions with your counselors. College of Biological Sciences, College of Engineering, College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, College of Letters and Sciences. These are the selected majors. Of course, what does selected mean? It means that they're highly competitive, which means they have oftentimes a bit of a different requirement that comes with them because of the number of applicants and because of some specifics requested by that particular department. So it behooves you to be as diligent as possible in researching and evaluating what these specifics are if a major that you have an interest in falls into one of these particular colleges or categories. Be very mindful of that. The Bible, if you will, for lack of a better term, to prepare you for transferring is www.assist.org. This website speaks to the articulation agreements between all California community colleges and all CSUs and UCs for that matter. For the sake of this conversation, however, we're only talking about admittance into UC Davis, and so your counselors at the respective community colleges are very versed in the usage of Assist. They too use this to advise students to accurately prepare for transition as you prepare your blueprint or transcripts, if you will, for the major of your choice. You simply go to www.assist.org and you select the current community college that you're attending, select the university that you hope to attend, which would be UC Davis, and then you select the major. These are all selectable through drop-down menu processes, and it can provide you with an overview of the courses that you need to essentially take to effectively prepare for transitioning over to Davis. And so additional courses and GPA requirements for your major may be noted. Those are all documented on both the website of the major as well as assist.org. Other lower division courses that apply towards the major, again, all of this is documented on assist.org. It clearly states UC transferable courses and UC transferable courses only. The courses that meet IGETC, which is an acronym for your Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. I said a mouthful. Basically, it's your transfer general ed requirements. Those are clearly documented as well. Again, you need not rely solely on this interaction or this exchange or giving of information as your sole content or pathway that you use to follow. We urge you to be definitely connecting consistently with your counselor to provide more clarity in the event that you do not receive it from this process. But ultimately, assist.org is your guiding process for this experience in terms of preparing your transcripts for transfer. The Transfer Admission Planner. Okay, it's important for you to note that this Transfer Admission Planner is being requested by the UC Office of the President for all potential transfer students into a UC school. The TAP, or Transfer Admission Planner, as we're referencing, is a module that's created by the UC Office of the President for you to house all of your experiences academically to prepare for your transfer to UC Davis, and we have the ability to both access that profile at your community college and here in our Office of Undergraduate Admissions. You're simply going onto the website uctap.universityofcalifornia.edu, click on New Student, create a profile, input all of your transcript information as accurately as possible. It allows us an opportunity to give an overview, to see an overview of your preparation and provide you with feedback either via email or through that portal. So please be mindful of how important this process is because it's one that's implemented statewide. uctap.universityofcalifornia.edu is for housing your transfer academic planner for all transfer students. Okay, and that of course segues into the next acronym, which is TAG, your Transfer Admission Guarantee Process. Herein lies a process that allows you an opportunity to secure you a space into the university by simply following a particular course pattern along with a GPA requirement specifically to your major that gives you an opportunity to, again, secure you a guaranteed spot for admission into the UC. It can actually be referred to as a contractual agreement. You're going to agree to follow a particular course pattern, again, with a GPA requirement. That is all done at your community college and approved and processed at your community college. And then with cross-communication with our Office of Undergraduate Admissions, we approve it, and it actually is just that simple. Please inquire at your respective transfer center about the TAG process. Helpful hints for transfer students preparing for the major. You don't have the luxury of, as freshmen do, of arriving at the campus and kind of getting a law of the land and learning about the campus by taking various classes. As a transfer student, you're transitioning right into your major. So it becomes extremely important for you to prepare appropriately, making sure that you meet the UC admissions requirements as stated earlier. Making sure you have an understanding of the selection criteria by having that by the end of spring before you apply, and assuring yourself a spot. Again, although it's listed as having a 2.8 or higher GPA is a necessity, Our rule of thumb is never go below a 3.0 and you won't have this as a challenge. Apply broadly, obviously with the competitive landscape that we're engaging in here at UC Davis for both freshmen and transfer applicants, we can't guarantee you a spot, and so we urge you to cast a wide net, if you will. We know that UC Davis may in fact be your number one, and although we'd like to have you, we also know that we're number one choice for many other students as well. And so we ask that you respectfully apply broadly to assure yourself an opportunity to be at the university. As we requested of freshmen, listing an alternate major, making sure that we have the ability to transition as we learn more and more as these students find students here express to you their change in thought and change in focus. So too may be the case for you. So we encourage you as transfer students to also list an alternate major. Much like the freshman statistics, we have some pretty powerful and positive statistics for transfer students as well. Although the GPA range here for transfer students may not be as high, we recognize that the percentage of transfer success rate here in admittance is. And so with that, it's primarily due to, in my personal opinion, the preparation that the transfer students engage in at the respective community college and the support and advising that they receive. As a result, we have a really positive 60+ point percentage of transfer admittance rates here at UC Davis. And the other numbers respectively speak for themselves, first generation and so on. We are definitely adamant about the importance of transfer students on our campus. The UC admission application and scholarship section here. We recognize that oftentimes students may need an opportunity to supplement their experience, and so we want to talk about the admissions process and your preparation for scholarship. Be mindful of the fact that you have to calendar this experience appropriately. We have an opportunity for early preparation in that regard, and so October is when you're encouraged to really start kind of disaggregating information to prepare for your application experience. Actually, you are encouraged to do it a lot sooner than that because it's a competitive landscape, and again, oftentimes students run into some snags here and there, and so the sooner that you start that, the better. The official particulars as it relates to that process are as follows. The application does have a fee. UC Davis's application, or all UC applications, has a fee. Sometimes you might have accessible to you at your respective college or high school a fee waiver. So inquire with your counseling staff or your counseling office what fee waivers are available. Your application is also your application for scholarships, and herein lies where your personal statement comes into play and plays a big deal of importance. Making sure that you taking time to prepare that personal statement and document it accordingly, because that's going to speak to one aspect of you, just as your transcripts will speak to another side of you. And so here at UC Davis, because we engage in a holistic review process, which allows us to assess students in their entirety, all that they bring, both academic related and otherwise, be mindful of the importance of investing time to really put forth your best effort in the personal statement component of the application. No letters of recommendation or transcripts are required. You have the ability to access more tips at the website that's listed below, admissions.ucdavis.edu and /apply. Our Office of Undergraduate Admissions, our outreach staff, as well as our advisors and evaluators do a wonderful job at providing students in advance with a number of different forms of resources and support so that they can better prepare for this application process and get a positive experience. The personal statement is, again, something that you don't want to wait to invest in. Here's an opportunity for you to, in that limited 1,000 word maximum right there, give us a full understanding of who you are. Again, if you have a stellar academic output that only gives us one aspect of who you are, here's an opportunity for you to tell us what else you hope to bring to the university. And as a point of note, we do in fact consider that as being a very important process. Understanding what a student is going to bring and leave here at the university. We understand what your investment is in yourself and what you hope to gain, but here's an important piece to know. What are you going to leave behind? UC Davis is a very prestigious institution, and we welcome the opportunity to continue to build and grow with the input of our student body. So Be mindful of the importance of documenting what you hope to gain and what you hope to leave. The third prompt is, of course, optional. However, it's another chance for you to give us a bit more information to include certain things that we don't know or that weren't exposed in other areas of the application. So use it to the fullest, folks. Helpful hints. Helpful hints. You guys have any helpful hints?
I mean, this pretty much says it. Definitely prepare in advance would be the biggest one that I would say, and try to get a lot of people besides your parents to read over your essays.
Great point.
Particularly people that maybe are English teachers or maybe don't know you that well.
Great point.
And something that I would say is don't let anything and everything you do is something you can put on your applications. A lot of people say they don't have anything else besides school and that they don't know what to put. Talking about yourself is sometimes one of the hardest things, but everybody has a story. Everybody has, like Carlos said, a path to go through. So really invest some time in thinking about what are the words that you're going to put on that paper and not just what somebody wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well stated, both of you, well stated. As it's mentioned here, do not hesitate to ask questions. I think at this point it's not a foreign phrase to any of us, but the only question that's, how's it phrased? The only dumb question is the one you don't ask. Is that how the phrase goes? Yeah. Don't be afraid. We understand that there's no possible way for you to completely digest everything that you need to engage in this process. And so utilize us as a resource, utilize the website as a resource, but more importantly, do not sit and idle if you should have a question about this experience. Check your emails frequently. That's an aspect of that time management that you're going to be required to engage in once you make that transition. Actually, prior to making that transition, speak very briefly, if you will, both of you, about the importance of time management.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm sure you guys all know because you've been in high school and you've probably been taking rigorous classes and things, so I'm sure you guys are good with time management. But as far as this whole process goes, there are very specific deadlines, and you have to make sure that you're on top of it because the university is, we get so many applicants that if, we get a call the day after the applications are due saying the server went down or something happened and I wasn't able to submit my application, there's nothing we can do about that. So you have to make sure that that's on you, that you really need to make sure that you're on top of it.
Yeah, my best tip for that would be make sure it's written down. A lot of people just have the deadlines and they think they know all the dates and deadlines in their heads, but like Alyssa just said, one day will pass by and that's the end of the deadline. But if you have it on paper in front of you, everything written down, it's a lot easier for you to remember and to get everything in on time.
Definitely.
Well stated. And so you have before you the importance of time management because we have some important dates for you to document in your calendars. That's right, we said document in your calendars. You should have an active calendar that governs your functioning, yes?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That's what Jorge means by write it down, and Alyssa means by keeping an accurate assessment of those things. So October 1st obviously is when we suggest you start the application process, but as I mentioned earlier, you're disaggregating a lot of information that you're going to start this application process with sooner than the October 1st date. November 1st through the 30th is your submission of your application window, if you will. And inevitably, having done this for quite some time, students tend to wait until after Thanksgiving holiday after Thanksgiving holiday I'm going to take time and invest in this process. Well, guess what? You're not the only ones, and as a result, the system ends up being functioning in an overload function and kind of tends to get backed up. And so to assure that you're not a part of that, the earlier part of November is the actual time that we would strongly suggest that you encourage that you engage in this process and initiate the application. At the very least, start the process. And the other information is as follows. Another important date, that FAFSA window. Do that at the beginning. Would you agree?
Definitely.
Do that at the beginning of the timeline here as opposed to the end. Don't wait until March to start your FAFSA. Do it early because money does run out. If I'm not mistaken, allocations run out.
Yeah,
right?
and the application is really long and really detailed. So if you wait until the last day, then you have to get all this information that you might not have as well. So you want to make sure that you get that ahead of time.
And just to reiterate what Carlos just said about the dates, that October 1st date, a lot of students have the misconception that, well, I can't submit it yet, so I'm not going to start it yet. So they won't start until they can actually click submit. But like Carlos has said this whole presentation, it is a process. So the longer you invest in it and the more time you spend in it, the better it will be. You can't start submitting November 1st, but remember, you can start filling it out October 1st. So take that month to fill it out, review it, and make sure it's what you want to submit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have here also the respective dates for the notifications after you've engaged in the process of applying and also applying for financial aid. Our freshman admits will receive their, our freshman applicants will receive their notifications in mid-March, and our transfer applicants will receive their notifications in mid to late April. You also have follow-up dates that you need to be aware of, and that's the SIR dates, or the Statements of Intent to Register. That's right, just because you were admitted does not mean you automatically have a space. You have to let us know that you agree to accept the space that we've allocated for you. And be mindful of the fact that we're not waiting for you to make that decision, so you make that decision early if you want to secure your spot here at the #8 public university in the country. Some important websites. Again, being resourceful, being mindful of the importance of being resourceful as a student. Going to the websites and extracting all of the necessary information so that you can really have a functional understanding of what you're about to engage in your transition here to UC Davis as freshmen and or transfers. Admissions.ucdavis.edu is the site that has an abundance of information for you, available and done for you by our Office of Undergraduate Admissions, advisors, and outreach staff accordingly. You can have a virtual visit as well take place, but we actually encourage you to take a physical visit to the campus. We have Preview Day coming up on October 19th, is it, folks?
Yeah.
Preview Day, where the university has a chance to put its best foot forward and show you what we have to offer. If you have an opportunity to do that, definitely take advantage of it. And join the mailing list that is listed here from the Aggie page to get periodic information as it's hot off the presses, so to speak, here from UC Davis. And so we encourage you to be resourceful in that regard. Other resources that you can use to stay in touch, I'm probably not as versed as my colleagues here in some of these, so I'll defer to them in this regard.
We do have all sorts of social media. I mean, most of the schools do, but we do have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account, we have YouTube, we do have an Instagram, so if you want to follow us. I think we follow back.
Yeah, and we also answer a lot of questions via Facebook. We're posting constantly about student life, admissions, all the stuff that's going on on the campus. So make sure you take a look at that so you can have a little bit better feel of what it means to be here at UC Davis.
And I just want to add to what we were saying earlier about visiting the campus. Just as a personal experience, I actually visited Davis because it was on the way to Berkeley. But as soon as I got here, I fell in love with the campus, and I really think that visiting and feeling out the atmosphere is a huge part of the decision that you're going to end up making, and I definitely think that that's a huge thing to consider, and so I definitely recommend coming and visiting because we have a gorgeous campus, super friendly people.
Yeah.
And, as a non-UC Davis Aggie student, I want to kind of piggyback on something that both of my colleagues stated earlier about how good the food is. That was not understated. As a man who likes to eat, you get an abundance of selection as well as them being very, very health conscious. And so be mindful, if you will, freshmen, of that freshman 15 that people tend to gain right now. Right? It's very, very possible for you to do that because the food is wonderful. And so don't let that be the only attraction, but it is one of the main.
And it's all you can eat. So,
it's all you can eat. It's all you can eat. So we invite you all to apply. We are encouraging you to be a part of the great change that's taking place here. For example, our College of Biological Sciences and our new dean, Dr. James Hildreth, who is the nation's leader in HIV and AIDS research, who's raising the bar, if you will, in terms of how competitive our Department of Biological Sciences is going to be nationwide. You have an ability to be a part of all of this change that's taking place here. We have a new head football coach who we swiped from UC Berkeley, if you will, a new athletic director. So the change is on the rise, folks, and we're fastly moving up the ladder in terms of public universities, and you have an opportunity to be a part of that. So we welcome the opportunity to answer questions now, as we hope that we've been able to provide you with a foundation of information that you're going to probably add to help make a sound decision about where you're going to spend the next 2 or 4 years of your life as you prepare for the next steps towards the rest of your life. And so with that stated, we have some questions we want to kind of address here. I think we have one from let's see here. Here's one from Gina. Hi, Gina. Gina wants to know, it was recently reported that UC Davis is considering adding a new undergraduate program for marine biology. When will that be certain? When will that be certain? During the application time. I don't think you phrased that question properly, but Gina, here's one of those things that you can reference when we talked about the resources available to keep in touch with us and get updates. You can definitely access that from the website and the respective departments. I don't have any direct information on that right now, but if you stay in the loop and have us emailing you regularly of the different things that take place and hot off the presses, so to speak, you will be notified. At this particular juncture, I have no information as to when exactly that will take place. Hi, this is no name here. This next question, I am an AB 540 student. Yes, yet I am at the top of my class. I have contributed to my community and have demonstrated leadership skills. I want to study law and psychology, but due to the fact that I am undocumented, I cannot apply for FAFSA. Could the school offer me financial assistance? Well, our Office of Financial Aid is definitely very helpful to all undocumented students, AB 540 students. I would definitely suggest strongly, writer, whomever you might be, that you inquire with our Department of Financial Aid. We have great staff there. You want to probably talk to Mr. Ron Bynes or Ms. Dolores. Tell them Carlos sent you. All right, and make sure you inquire the specifics of your circumstance, and most definitely they'll be able to point you in the right direction. What time do classes usually start and end each day?
So for classes, the best part about college and UC Davis is that you can actually pick your own schedule. There's a lot of students that aren't morning students, and there's a lot of students that are not evening students. So the beauty of that is that you can actually pick what time you want your class to start and what time you want your day to end. There's a variety of different classes offered throughout the whole day, so it's definitely an option for you out there. For me personally, I'm not a very big morning person, so I definitely like to choose those more in the afternoon classes, and it works out perfectly. There's also students that work, so it's very, very flexible to move around your work schedule or whatever life schedule that you might be facing.
And make sure you know yourself too. The first quarter that I came in, I thought, oh, I can do 7:30 classes 2 days a week. I did it 5 days a week in high school. Bad idea. If you're not a morning person, don't try to take the high road and be a morning person. Just know yourself, and it's not going to be a big deal if you're on campus until later in the day. It's totally fine.
Right. Good answer. Okay, this next one is from Brian, folks. Brian says, I'm a senior in high school in California, and I'm wondering how competitive it is to get into electrical engineering. I'm not a super genius, but I do well in math. Well, that particular major is extremely competitive, Brian. And so you obviously want to put your best foot forward. We're not requesting or demanding that you come with genius status, but we definitely encourage you to do your best academically. And again, in the event that you're not able to have the academic output that accurately reflects who you are, herein lies, Brian, as a freshman, where the value of that personal statement comes into play. The academician in you is going to be reflected in your transcripts, but the other side of who you are is going to be reflected in your personal statement. So make sure, as Alyssa said earlier, that you have a number of different people helping you read that personal statement so that they can assess if, in theory, it's putting a bit of a different spin on how you weren't able to perform academically. And we're going to assume here that you weren't bad academically. We just know that you weren't a genius. How about that, using your words? This next one is from Gina, folks.
You already did that one.
We did that one already?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to scroll down. See, like I said, technology is their strength. What would be a college preparatory elective? A college preparatory elective. Well, let's say, for example, you wanted to engage in international studies and you had met your foreign language requirements already. You definitely wanted to exceed past that and go past the normal 2-year requirement, the 2-year minimum requirement. So that's just one example of that. Remember, what we're talking about is being competitively eligible, which means we're excelling past the minimum, if you will, of requirements. And so, quite honestly, any elective that you select that's transferable if you're a transfer student or that meets the requirements for your admission if you're a freshman, just remember to excel past that. Okay, that's the best way I'll try and answer that right now. Can you briefly talk about UC appeals process? The UC appeals process. Well, to the best of my knowledge, the UC appeals process is well documented online, and you can find information there. But it is a process that a large number of students engage in annually during our application process, and it gives you a chance to provide us with additional information. Make a compelling argument is what we definitely request of students who are engaging in the appeal process. Here's your chance to make a compelling argument as to why we should consider you, notwithstanding the reasons that we chose not to select you, but we're giving you another opportunity because we recognize, again, that not all students are able to perform at an academically stellar level all the time. And so just remember to have support. Again, this is a bit redundant, but it's very, very true. As Alyssa said, and I've reiterated, and maybe Jorge has added to as well, get support through this process so you can have more than 2 and 3 sets of eyes looking at your presentation on paper, your personal statement and everything, especially as it relates to appeals, so that you are able to put your best foot forward. But the phrase that you need to definitely maintain an understanding of is make a compelling argument. Okay? Okay, folks. Anthony has a question. You want to take that, Jorge?
So Anthony asked, I'm a sophomore in high school and take a couple advanced classes and keep a pretty decent 3.8 to 4.0 GPA. Good job. Besides having a good GPA, what should a student be doing to ensure acceptance to your school, and what does UC Davis look for in a student? Again, like Carlos said in his presentation, a large part of what UC Davis is looking for is that leadership, that engagement that you're doing beyond the classroom. A large part of it has to do with, once you come to UC Davis doesn't just want you to go to the classroom, go back to your dorm, and back and forth from classes. We talked a little bit, Alyssa mentioned about all the activities and all the clubs on campus. Carlos mentioned about all the changes that are happening. UC Davis wants you to be part of that change. They want you to engage with the campus, and they want you to be part of the community. So it's very important for you to be a well-rounded student. Now, that being a well-rounded student could mean a variety of things, but basically have a lot of leadership skills, anything from even having a job, being in part of a sport, engaging in a community service, anything that excels beyond the classroom is something you can definitely add to your application process. Again, a lot of students don't think that having a job and going to class is something that sets them apart, but it's something else that you're doing besides school. So the way I always like to frame it personally is, if you're not in the classroom and you're doing something else, put it on there, because you never know how much it can really mean.
Yeah, well stated. So, Alyssa, Jocelyn wants to know what GPA is required, so I went back to the freshman screen here of data that spoke to the GPA range for the last cycle, just to give her some information there. I wouldn't speak to it as so much as being required, because technically speaking, Jocelyn, you only need about a 2.4, but that 2.4 is not going to make you what's called competitively eligible. You're going to have to digest the importance of being able to compete. And in that competition framework, you see here a range for freshman applicants of a 3.9 to a 4.2. And because, Jocelyn, I'm not sure if you're a freshman or a transfer, I wanted to go back to that freshman information first, and I'll move forward here in the slides to provide you with some data as it relates to the transfer GPA range for the last application cycle. Because of the large number of applicants that apply as freshmen, we only had 13,000 for transfer, but as you can see here, we were well at 55,000, I believe, for freshmen. So that kind of gives you an understanding of the range that you can legitimately fall in between to kind of assure yourself an access. But again, there's no way to gauge what this next application cycle is going to be like, and so you need best to put your best foot forward and excel. Let's see, the next question is, when is the deadline to apply for financial aid? That's a great question. However, I think we did go over that, didn't we? I think the deadline for financial aid was the March
2nd.
March 2nd.
Where is it? Right there. Okay. Indonesia, is that, I guess, her name? Indonesia? Indonesia, you see here, between January 1st and March 1st of actually 2014 would be when you would apply for financial aid in the event that you are a freshman applicant. If you're a transfer applicant, you should have already applied January 1st, between January 1st and March 2nd of 2013 of this year. Even if you haven't, you still have the ability to. It's not assured that you're going to have any money. You probably have to get what's left in terms of loans and so on. But again, being mindful of the importance of time management and having a functional calendar that guides the principles of your life, you recognize that starting this process early is important. When you talk about financial aid, you're also talking about parent information. And so sometimes students end up waiting until the last minute to get that. So the January 1st to March 2nd gap is what you're looking at here in Indonesia. Thank you for your question. Go ahead, Jorge.
And remember, just because there's a March 2nd deadline, get that in as soon as you can, because it is a first come, first served basis. So if you're getting it in March 1st, then like Carlos said, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a well package that you want to get.
Okay. And so Brian has a question here. Unless you want to take that.
Brian writes, I want to get into electrical engineering. I was wondering how competitive it is depending on the major that you choose. So I think there was a slide earlier that referred to transfer majors that was about selective majors, but the same thing kind of applies for freshmen as well. Those are the majors that are going to be more selective because they are more popular. So if you want to take a look at that slide, that might help you a little bit.
In addition to that, go to the Davis website, ucdavis.edu. Go to select majors and click on the list of majors. Click on the major of your choice, and it provides you with an abundance of information as to how to accurately prepare for that major. What the lower level and upper division courses are to prepare for that major, and even the college that the college that the major is housed in gives you a bit more thorough information on how to accurately prepare for that. And so, much like Alyssa just said, you're choosing a major with that choice of yours there that's going to be really competitive and pretty marketable once you graduate. And so it behooves you to kind of prepare early on as best as possible. And I suggest you go directly to the source. Go to the department's website, go to that major's website, digest in its entirety everything that it has to offer you. And you even have the ability to contact an advisor for that major directly, which has the contact information listed at the very bottom, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Jocelyn, do you recommend to take the SAT subject test? If so, what are the most competitive subject tests that we are, as incoming freshmen, should take? Well, I'm going to go back here to a slide that spoke to the freshman statistics here. Okay. There. Okay. Just digest, if you will, Jocelyn, the importance of this particular information here. The last application cycle, this was the outcome of the students who applied as it relates to ACT and SAT scores. And of course, the official particulars are listed on the website in terms of what you should follow. You also have the ability to access it from this particular document, which is downloadable online. And if I open it up here, you'll have an abundance of information specifically for freshmen in their preparatory process. So much rather than go into this in detail, some of your homework, Jocelyn, is going to be to go to UC Davis website and download this doc so that you and your parents can go over it in its entirety.
In addition to that, I know they don't technically require SAT subject tests anymore.
Correct.
However, we definitely recommend, if you take them, that you submit them. And even if you think it's not maybe a super high score in that subject, if you're not super happy with it, I still recommend submitting it because it's going to show us that you did take it, which is not something that everyone does. So it shows you going above and beyond, and showing up to that test and even taking it is definitely something that we'll take into account.
Well stated. Thank you. Morgan has a question about psychology and its competitiveness, and if she decided to apply, I'm assuming, female, hopefully you are, if you decided to apply to this major, are my chances of admission more selective? I'm imagining that you're wondering if you have a better chance of applying to this major. And I say as long as you're putting your best foot forward, you're increasing your possibilities, okay? Again, I'm going to strongly encourage that you go to the website and go to the psych major and digest all that it has to offer you and inquire more specifically what the advisor that's listed at the bottom. They can provide you with the official inside information for that particular major. Alyssa, you wanted to say something?
Just to take into account as well, when we were talking about when you apply, putting in an alternate major. So if, say you are applying to psychology and that is one of those more selective majors, then when you select an alternate major, look to see if you can pick one that's maybe not one of those more selective majors. That way maybe you can get in under a different major and perhaps try to switch majors later on, take some classes that might apply to the general ed or whatever of the major that you're actually interested in, and definitely look into switching majors, because that is something that you can do here. It's not guaranteed, but it's just something to consider.
Okay. Okay, so we have another question from a good friend, Sophia, here. Sophia says, can I take a tour of UC Davis, to visit UC Davis, and is it free?
I'll take that one. I'm actually a tour guide here. So yeah, we do offer tours during the week 2 times a day, and during the weekends it's 1 time a day. So if you want to come, they are free. You can register online. I believe the website is visit.ucdavis.edu if you want to register to come view our campus. We have an admissions presentation before. It's going to have information similar to what we've been talking about here, and then it's an hour-long campus tour. We offer admissions advising as well, so if you want to talk to someone one-on-one in person, you can talk to them at our Welcome Center as well. Definitely recommend visiting campus. We have a really gorgeous campus, and really the only way to see that is to come and visit yourself.
Well stated. Another question. How is living in Davis?
For me, it's been the best. There is definitely a lot to do around Davis, not just at the university, but around the university in the actual city of Davis. One of the best things that I loved about Davis is that the city of Davis is actually caters to the UC Davis students. So everything downtown, all the shops, everything that you see downtown is catered to be preferred for UC Davis students. So there's always discounts for students. There's always events going on thrown for students. There's something that we have here called the Farmers Market twice a week. And as you can see from Alyssa's reaction, it's a great event. Everybody comes out, and it's a very, very well community feel. But if you don't want to stay in Davis, like we mentioned before, from how far we are from different places, you can always go to Sacramento. There's definitely a lot of activities going on in Sacramento. There's Napa Valley. Napa Valley is a gorgeous place. Definitely recommend it. And we're only an hour drive away. There's San Francisco. And as you can see, there's a lot of things to do there. But again, as far as Davis itself and what UC Davis has to offer, we do have an activity center where you can actually plan a trip if you want to go to Tahoe with a couple of your friends and you just want to go whitewater rafting, hiking, snowboarding. There's a center here at UC Davis that you can actually get that at a very reduced price for students, and you go out for the weekend. And it's a great resource to utilize. I personally have used it myself to go whitewater rafting, and it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's definitely recommended if you're here at UC Davis.
Another thing to add on to that, as far as the city itself, is just how convenient it is to get around. You may have heard about our bike culture. We have 40,000 registered bikes in the city of Davis, so we're very big into biking. Our campus is actually closed to non-university sanctioned vehicles, so it's all bikes all the time, which makes it really easy to get around campus. We also have an awesome bus system here called Unitrans. It's free with your student ID. They pick up at most of the apartments that are around campus, as well as downtown, different places on campus. So it just makes it really easy to get around. Being someone from LA, it's really nice to not have to sit in traffic to go places, and it's definitely something to consider as well. It's just how easy it is to navigate the campus and the city.
Well stated, because the next question that we were going to ask is, can I bring a car to campus as a freshman? And the other question is, do you all live on campus?
As a freshman, it's not recommended for you to, I believe it's not allowed, right? To bring a car to campus. And the reason, again, why that is, like I said it before, UC Davis wants you to be part of the campus. They want you to engage with the different clubs, with the different organizations on campus, with the different activities that they have to offer. So they don't want you to leave somewhere or to go out when you haven't yet experienced campus itself. Like Alyssa said, everything around UC Davis is very close by, so there's really no need for a vehicle. If you're talking about going shopping or going anywhere around, you can definitely get around on the bus system or on your bike. And it's biking, it's only a few minutes away from anywhere around Davis, so it's really, really accessible. And the next question was, do we all live on campus? I lived on campus my first year here at UC Davis, and I loved it. Now I live off campus, but it's still a great experience, and I still get to be very engaged to the actual campus.
Yeah, I lived on campus last year as well, and I absolutely loved it this year. I live off campus, but the way that the apartments are set up here is it almost feels like you're on campus because it is mostly students living around there, which is really nice.
Okay, and although I look very young, I'm not a student, and therefore I do not live on campus. But as this brings to a close our session this evening, we want to thank you for joining us and investing your interest in UC Davis, and go Aggies.
Go Aggies.
Go Aggies.